Hello there. I'm Brent from Australia.
I don't think you're real.
Well, of course I am. I'm the one that wrote that letter.
So let's talk about Retroblastin. Let's talk about the YouTube channel Retroblastin and its creator, Michael, right? Last year, around February, Michael from the channel Retroblastin went on a campaign against the HasLab Jabba sail barge. For those of you who are not aware, he released a video on his point of view, on his distaste on how Hasbro handled the whole campaign, and this is part of it right here. This video he did release last year.
Looks great, but I just, they're going to be sitting on your money for a year because you don't actually get the toy until February 28th, 2019. So if 5,000 plus people give Hasbro, $500.
He went on this video, which you can find on his channel. It's called Retroblastin. He comes up with every possible way making Hasbro out to the villain. He goes on to say, "Oh, Hasbro's going to sit on your money. Hasbro can make up an excuse. You may or may not get the barge. It's scummy of them to encourage PayPal." Either way, he goes on and he made his point of view very clear in this video that he released last year, that he was 100% totally against it. He was so against Jabba's sail barge, he went on a tour and jumped on World Class Bullshitters.
I like this sail barge situation. Now, I'm gonna throw my personal opinion in there. I have no interest in this because I like Return of the Jedi, but for $500, I want a Death Star. Yeah. Even if it's like similar to the vintage Death Star playset, with it's like that wedge shaped thing. I would put the money in for that.
Right.
This looks cool in theory, but the quality of modern Hasbro stuff hasn't inspired any faith in me.
Right.
So $500 for, and I mean.
So that was a little snippet from World Class Bullshitters, where Michael was a guest on his channel, and he goes on to kind of encourage the scumminess of Hasbro and HasLab. So that's fine. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. I honestly did not think that Michael would ever get his hands on the barge. I had several friends point out to me, "Oh, Denobi, don't worry. He's going to get the barge, and he's going to get it, and he's going to make up some wacky excuse on how the barge ended up in his collection." No, not Michael. He seems like a man of integrity, a man of honor. He's never going to let that barge into his collection. And lo and behold, how convenient! He releases a video today with the barge. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to kind of dissect his video and see his reasoning why he has the barge. It's mind-blowing. Again, here's another snippet of World Class Bullshitters when he was on there.
I don't think it's going to happen. Let's talk about it real quick. So for those who don't know what we're talking about, Hasbro has this thing called HasLab. It's crowdfunding for the Jabba the Hutt sail barge. It's called the Katana. I didn't know that until I read this. So basically, it's for the 3 3/4 inch scale. It's planning to be the largest piece of Hasbro Star Wars.
So, do you have confidence in this product or not? Oh, wait, the retailers won't work with you on something like this? I wonder why they won't. Maybe you have a bad relationship with them. Who knows? Oh, wait, Toys R Us just went under. I guess that's kind of a problem, isn't it? Like that, there are so many factors here that are red flags. There's smoke in the woodpile, and
that was my favorite part on that specific ranting of his, because he comes off so delusional. He really believes that Hasbro is out to get the collector, and he just needs to understand that Hasbro is just like any other toy collector. They're out to make money. It's a business. I don't know why he sees a problem with that. I don't get it. And the fact that he has to fabricate these wild scenarios as to why Hasbro is the villain. Let's get to his video. A year later, let's fast forward a year later, and let's look at why there is a sail barge in the middle of his collection.
And then to add insult to injury with this for all the Star Wars fans, they're not offering it to international collectors, which is a big slap in the face. It's like, Star Wars is a worldwide phenomenon. There are people all over the world that love Star Wars on all continents, and they all want to get in on this thing, and you're only going to give it to North American, United States buyers.
Oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo-hoo. Oh, Hasbro is the bad guy because they're not offering it to international. What this dude doesn't understand is that Hasbro has always had a history of releasing certain exclusives and certain items to certain markets, certain regions. A case in point, let me give you a perfect example here. Is the 2016 Star Wars Celebration that was held in Europe. Hasbro had an exclusive that was only meant for that region. Right? Here we go. Star Wars Black Series Convention exclusive. This is nothing new. This is July 2016, right? This is normal. As a collector, this is perfectly normal to release certain exclusives in certain regions. So I don't know why he thinks it's the end of the world, why the sail barge was, because it's released in the U.S., oh, the rest of the world, oh, boo-hoo. Which, again, he spoke without knowing all his facts, because later on we all know that Hasbro did release 1,000 units to overseas collectors just recently. Again, you can clearly see right here that, showing you right here, this was Kylo Ren featuring Ben Solo, with will be offered at a Star Wars Celebration in Europe. So this is nothing new, all right? So he makes it seem like it's the end of the world. Oh, Hasbro's the bad guy. Hasbro only releasing certain. This is common with Mattel. This is common with every toy. So he needs to open up his eyes on this one.
I don't even really know how to start this video.
I'm a hypocrite?
Because you're going to get a visual of this, and before some random Star Wars collecting website wants to run out and do a smear article saying, oh, Michael has the sail barge. That's not what this is.
That's exactly what it looks like to me. It looks like a dude with the Hasbro sail barge, and mind you, he's standing in his Star Wars collection in the background. That's exactly what it looks like. A picture's worth 1,000 words. This ought to be rich. Let's continue here. Let's check this out.
And I'm really trying to hold in my frustration, because what I talked about a few months ago, a
few months ago, it was about a year ago. Let's be clear about that. Not a few months ago, about 1 year.
HasLab sail barge was announced. A lot of it is on us right now. And so I'm just going to read this letter that I received from someone who I don't know personally, but whose name I've recognized for several years as a Retroblasting supporter on YouTube and social media.
This ought to be rich. All right. He has the letter printed out. Somebody from a regular audience member has provided a letter. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt here. Let's listen to this.
So let me just read this letter. I received this several weeks ago.
All right.
Hi, Michael and Melinda. I hope you guys are both well and having a great start to the week. I wanted to reach out via Patreon in order to give you some veracity to this message versus the numerous posts you guys have to put up with on other social media channels.
Oh, it's the end of the world. Oh, poor Michael. All the comments and hate that gets toward him. All right, let's keep doing. Let's keep doing. At
any rate, and getting to the point, I always held a different view to yours regarding the HasLab plan. At its core, I felt it was a great way for the passionate designers who actually created the toys to get around the bean counters who only put profit above all else. In a nutshell, I felt the good in them. That's not to say I didn't enjoy the
I really like how the letter is written like a Jedi written. You know, think about it. It's a Star Wars fan clearly wrote this letter, and the fact that he goes, I felt the good in them. That's very Star Wars. That's very Jedi cliche. All right, let's keep going.
Lasting perspective. Sharp, insightful, and considered as always. But despite this, I wanted to give Hasbro a chance and back the project. To pull a quote from Kent Brockman, this is probably a reflection of my never give up, never think things through approach to life. Considering that I live in Australia and Hasbro only delivered the sail barge in the US, I had to rely on a mail forwarder to take on the shipping outside of the US. Unfortunately, in the time that I backed the project, the dimensions of the package that can be shipped greatly reduced.
All right, so let's start with this one. So we have Brent, who lives in Australia, and he decided to back the barge, okay? And he says that the dimensions were greatly reduced. I'm assuming that's a typo on Michael's part, right? I'm sorry, Brent's part, right in the letter, right? And so the package dimensions changed. So now his U.S. mail forwarder cannot ship the package to Australia. All right, let's keep going.
Leaving my sail barge stuck in delivery limbo. The cost of resending the barge to another forwarder and having them send that to me is now exceeding the cost of the barge itself.
So this is the part where I feel the story just does not make sense, because the dimensions were shared by Hasbro and on their social media platform on the exact dimensions and weight. This is a screenshot, right, from Hasbro Pulse. You can see it. This was shared on March 15th. The campaign didn't end until April 4th, right? So they already shared with you the dimensions, right? And they shared with you the weight. Now, I'll play advocate here. The dimensions did change. They changed by a few inches. So instead of the width right here, 50 inches, it did go up to 53. It did go up from 14 to 17, and that 15 height went up to 17, and the weight did double, right? That being said, all right, with the increased weight dimensions, you can still ship this. You can still ship this from the U.S. from a forwarder to Australia. Will the price of international shipping increase? Absolutely. But with this estimated weight and dimensions, you would still get a clear-cut idea of how much it would cost to ship the barge from the U.S. to Australia. This information was provided, right? It does, and I did go on UPS, and I did calculate it right here. I did kind of go on there, and you can kind of see right here that, you know, I did put the dimensions on there. You can kind of see right there. I added the 32 and the 15 at the time, and you can still get that. You can still get it shipped. Now, granted, the price is pretty expensive, but nonetheless, you can still ship it, and you could have still gotten an estimate. In fact, if I go right here and change it to the 15, you can still kind of get an idea, because I believe they still round it off. See, this right here, the billable weight doesn't make any sense. But nonetheless, though, you can still get this shipped. You would have still gotten an idea that it would have still been about $1,000 to get this overseas. So the information was provided. So Brent apparently didn't do his homework.
It's reached the point of ridiculousness. If I can't find an address to send it to, they will discard the item.
Who was they? Who did he forward it to Aunt Becky? Who's they?
So in that moment, I thought of you guys.
Oh, it was Retro Blasting to the rescue. How fortunate for Michael.
You don't support the HasLab project, nor have you ever asked for the sail barge. However, I always told
you never asked for the barge, but There it is. In the middle of your Star Wars collection, there it is in its full glory.
Myself, if I found myself with something to donate to the archive or contribute to the channel, I would reach out. So guys, I wanted to ask if you would be happy to accept the sail barge as a donation to Retroblasting, no strings attached. You don't have to display it, review it, or even mention it on the channel.
Brent, you are very generous.
Sure, why not? He has my permission to review it.
You can even sell it if the funds could go towards something more worthwhile. I essentially just want some good to come from this.
Oh.
With warm regards from the other side of the world, Brent.
Brent from the other side of the world is decided to back the barge, right? Back the barge, and the dimensions were reduced, I'm assuming it increased in weight and so forth, and is unfortunately unable to ship it. Not doing his homework, Brent decided to drop $500 to back the barge, and it had no escape plan. Why didn't... There's a few holes on there. There's just a few holes. Did Brent use a professional forwarder? Did Brent have a friend in the U.S.? And if he did have a friend, he could have listed it. He could have listed this on eBay and could have gotten twice the amount of money on this eBay by selling it to a U.S. seller, and he could have split the funds if it was a friend in the U.S. If it was if it was a professional forwarder, I find it hard to believe that a professional company forwarder would not have had a means to get this to Australia. It doesn't make sense. Let's keep going. He drops the letters. Prop is no longer needed.
Now, I'm not throwing Brent's letter to the ground because I have any issue with Brent at all. I have a real issue with Hasbro on all of this.
No, so the real villain is Hasbro. This ought to be good. Let's listen to this.
And I am not happy about the situation that Brent and I have to assume other people have ended up in because of the way Hasbro executes.
If other people ended up like Brent, they're stupid. All right? Plain, simple, stupid. The instructions, everything was laid out. This campaign was meant for U.S. buyers. Plain and simple. This was an exclusive meant for U.S. buyers. Again, this is nothing out of the norm. This is very common. This was meant. And again, later on, as I mentioned, Hasbro did release 1,000 units through eBay for international customers. So he's now Michael here has taken it upon himself to be the savior. He's going to be the one to go back and put right what once went wrong. So
on this whole HasLab thing, I did not like the Kickstarter model. I did not like the fact that they wouldn't ship to fans outside the United States. All of these are coming from Asia anyway. So why they couldn't be, partitioned out and diverted to Australia, Europe, Japan, various...
Because, you moron, this was a U.S. exclusive, all right? As a collector, I trust you would know that certain toy companies release certain exclusives and so forth. Me being a Hot Toys collector, there are several Hong Kong toy companies that only make products for the Hong Kong market, right? If I want that specific figure or toy, I resort to eBay. It's just plain and simple. Certain toy companies are based out of certain markets that are meant for that certain demographic or region and whatnot. But again, Hasbro is the bad guy here.
Places, it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to you.
I wrote Brent back immediately, and I said,
"Of course
Brent,
you did.
Look, here's the deal. I don't want the sail barge. I meant what I said in the video, but I also don't want you getting screwed over by this."
Oh, Your heart of gold, Michael. Your heart of gold.
So what I proposed to him, because see what happened was, from what I understand, is that Hasbro kept adding things into the pot to sweeten it, to try and get more people to buy into it, and so it kept changing the dimensions of the box.
He uses the word add in plural sense. The only thing that Hasbro added was a yak face carded figure, which I cannot imagine would alter the dimensions of the box, right? That's it. That's all they added was a 3 3/4 inch scale yak face, which, if you've seen in my video, it blends, it slips into the foam. So let's let him proceed.
From what I understand. Now, I could be somewhat off on that.
Very.
But clearly, the dimensions of the box changed from the time Brent made the deal with his shipping forwarder to the time it actually ended up in their hands.
He's right on that. The dimensions did change slightly, so he is correct on that.
And then he was looking at, well, you either find an address in the U.S. for us to ship it to, even though you don't live on that continent, or we throw it away.
So again, this is the part that confuses me. He makes it seem that the forwarder that Brent used had no intention of ever shipping it to Australia. Why would Brent commit to a forwarder that he wouldn't have assurances that would ship it to Australia? Again, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, I told him, I said, you know, you put your faith in Hasbro, Brent, and you put your faith in people who were trying to get more pre-orders, and to do so, they tried to rig up ways, not Hasbro, but other websites were trying to rig up ways.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's the other website's fault. It's the other influencers out there that screwed Brent over.
To get European and Australian and other buyers to be able to make pre-orders for this so that it would reach the goal, right?
You're talking out of your ass here, Michael. All right, the campaign was backed by its loyal followers. Again, this was a U.S. campaign. If international buyers decided to back it up, right, it's on them. But I like how you still think it's Hasbro's fault. All right, everything was laid out black and white on the website. It really was. I mean, I'm not kidding. It right here. Everything was laid out right here. See, the date tells you everything, April the 3rd. They haven't really updated the website. Everything was in black and white print. But in your world, it's Hasbro who was out to do wrong.
And now we have people like Brent who are in this unfortunate situation, which never should have happened.
You're absolutely right. The situation shouldn't have happened. This was meant for U.S. buyers. So your imaginary friend of Brent clearly made a mistake. This was not meant for him. But that's okay, though. It's Hasbro's fault here.
And so I told Brent, I said, look, I do not accept this as a donation. I'm gonna help you get an address, and then we're gonna find a way to get this barge to you as a Star Wars fan. We're gonna accomplish what Hasbro has failed to do for you.
Oh.
And I think everybody in the toy collecting community watching this right now can appreciate that and understand this, because this was avoidable.
Oh,
and
yes.
I don't mean this.
Absolutely. He shouldn't have purchased it. It was not meant for international buyers. But it's okay. We're in good hands here. He's going to help. He's going to help out Brent. Brent, is he going to help you out?
Michael's my friend.
Brent's fault. I mean, this is Hasbro's fault. This should never have happened, and Australian Star Wars fans should not have been denied this item and had to jump through all these hoops. So what I told Brent was,
I like how he never mentions the 1,000 in this video. He never announced. He never did his homework, because he's not aware that HasLab did release 1,000 units to international buyers through eBay. But anyway, let's.
we're going to tell his story, which I just have. We're going to
a whimsical, fanciful story.
Get it safely received, which we have.
No.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the figures out of this, and because apparently there's Yak Face and another figure in here, and I'm going to package those up in.
The only other figure is Jabba, and he's tucked inside the barge. Well, no, he's in the foam side, but again, it's Jabba and Yak Face, and I love how he he's making this out to like he's turning this into like a holy crusade. I shit you not. It's like we're gonna break this down and we're gonna reunite Brent with his barge and his Yak Face, and we're gonna save it.
In its own box and ship those to him now, so that he can at least get a piece of it while we figure out how to get this full vehicle to him. Because that's what he deserves. He's already spent an ungodly amount of money just trying to figure out how he was going to get it from being thrown away.
And so he never anticipated paying a expensive international shipping charge from the U.S. He never had that planned out. Well, he's an idiot.
And still not receive it. And he was willing to just give it away in the hopes that at least it wouldn't get thrown away.
And how convenient, as he's giving it away, it conveniently lands in your collection now.
Acceptable. Unacceptable. I'm so frustrated with Hasbro over this because of what happened, several months ago when I saw that they had announced it versus...
Again, not several months ago. 1 year ago.
It's now literally landed in my lap.
That how convenient! It just landed. It landed in his lap.
There's no real enticement for me to review this. Now I've spoken with Brent about.
Let us twist your arm, Michael. Let us just force you to review it so that you can add it on to your other Star Wars vehicles that are right behind you, just a few feet away.
Reviewing it, since it's here. He's not opposed to it, but the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, I just find the whole thing with Hasbro at this point despicable. I mean, they've literally left collectors out in the cold, and dealing with situations like this, and they should feel responsible.
Why should they feel responsible? Because imaginary Brent backed a barge and his friend Ford or whoever couldn't forward it to Australia and he didn't anticipate expensive international charges?
And so should the Star Wars collecting websites that tried to push alternate pay.
Here we go. Here's the Star Wars websites that were against Michael. I'm sorry, the collectors. Right, because these websites like Jedi Temple Archives and Yak Face, they were out to get the collector, weren't they? Michael is out to save the world.
Plans and alternate shipping methods to coerce people into buying into this. This is ridiculous.
Oh, he's so full of shit.
I mean, you're welcome to leave a comment if you think that, I should review this. Brent has certainly said that I can before I send it up.
Brent, did you say he could review this?
No, seriously, I really don't have any issues with it.
So please feel free to weigh in on that. I would review it as always, objectively as an object, but I'm actually just more concerned about getting this to Brent. And getting it to him safely.
Yeah.
Because
you're so concerned about getting this barge to Brent. Getting on your horse and your whip and your hat, and you're gonna get on that holy crusade, and you're gonna make sure that Brent, instead of saving Private Ryan, it's saving Jabba's sail barge. We gotta get this to Brent.
He put his faith in a toy company that over the last 25 years has eaten...
He or you? Let's be clear about this.
All the competition. They have run rampant like a shark through the waters of the toy industry and eaten up all these other companies. And yet their products have never been more poorly distributed. Their products have never been produced.
He's never heard of online buying or pre-ordering, but that's okay.
Low volumes, and the quality control is bad, and then
the quality control with Hasbro, I will defend them, is it's actually very good. Very seldom. And that's coming from someone like me. I've collected Hasbro Star Wars for the better part of, God, over 20 years. I've never had quality control issues with Hasbro. Never. Very seldom. If anything, it's these other wacky companies like NECA and McFarlane. Their toys are crap. The articulation, it's poor, piss poor paint schemes. NECA and McFarlane are the ones with the bad quality. Hasbro, for the better part, has had really good quality. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, for bad mouth in a company with poor quality control issues, he is sure surrounded with a ton of Hasbro products. Now, granted, I'll play out of it. It's all the classic stuff there, but still, come on now. You know they took shortcuts back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s. You know that stuff wasn't as on par. I mean, hell, didn't they use lead paint back in the day?
Business decisions are leaving people like Brent, who spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this item and was willing to spend hundreds and hundreds more to get it to Australia, like high and dry. Hasbro should be contacting us to figure out what to do about Brent's sail barge.
Yes, it's because it's Hasbro's fault, because imaginary Brent backed the barge and he had no escape plan on how to get it to Australia. Oh, for shame on you. For shame, Hasbro.
Seriously, they should. They don't have the ethics to do that, but they should.
But you do.
Hasbro should be delivering this the last mile to Brent. And they're not. Retroblasting is going to be figuring out how to deliver this the last mile to Brent. And that doesn't make me...
Oh, I feel so much better. Retroblasting is going to come in and save the day.
Okay? That's the right thing to do for Brent. And it's the right thing to do for anybody who is a passionate Star Wars fan.
Is that the right thing to do, Brent?
No, seriously, I really do live in Australia. Cowabunga, shrimp on the Barbie.
This I don't even know. So yeah, I didn't want one. I didn't buy one.
He didn't buy one. you know very well. This cat probably backed it up. This is his. This is wacky. He clearly backed the barge. Now he's fabricated this whimsical story to justify why the barge he was so against is now going to be part of his collection. Very bravo.
And through a situation like this, one showed up on my doorstep.
Oh, boy. Retroblasting is so lucky for one, fortunately, just to show up on your doorstep.
So feel free to leave a comment below about if you think it should be reviewed. I'm impartial at this point about that. Please don't leave comments. If you leave any comments slamming Brent or comments trying to weigh in,
I would never slam Brent. He seems like a cool dude. No, seriously, Brent, you seem like a really cool dude.
It's a living.
on what Brent should or shouldn't have done, I'm going to delete them because we're all toy collectors and we all know what it's like to get excited about something that a company is offering and trying to figure out a way to make it happen. So if you start throwing spitballs at Brent, I'm not going to be happy, all right? This is not his fault.
Oh, no. No, this is your fault, dude. This is you making this whole backstory to justify why there's a barge in the middle of your collection.
Lot of propaganda and stuff going around, to try and
Propaganda? Is he talking about propaganda going around the internet? Really? If there's any propaganda, it's definitely coming from him.
I think the real problem is that so many influencers want to see this happen because they're worshiping at the altar of completing their Star Wars collections no matter the cost. They buy everything.
There's your propaganda right there, Mr. Michael.
Independent fan marketing going around this time, trying to get people to feel confident who are outside the United States to buy into a pool, of pre-orders that will then get shipped in bulk out of the United States after it gets made. I saw it. I was watching it. That's why I made the video I made. Anyway, feel free to leave a comment about whether or not, we should even tackle reviewing this, and I'll sort.
Oh, I definitely want to see you review it, and I also definitely want to see where it's going to end up in your collection. I really do. Yeah, probably right next to that Shuttle Tidarium and that Ewok playset right in the back. I'm sure those are going to get pushed aside, and we'll have that barge right mid-center. Oh, that'd be cool.
Through those, and we'll see what the consensus is. In the meantime, if you actually have constructive information on how to effectively get this to Australia, please let me know, because my only concern right now is Brent. My only
Brent is his only concern
right now is getting him his dream collectible from Star Wars. And if you're a rep for Hasbro, contact me, because you guys need to do right by Brent. We'll see you in the next video.
Well, that was fun, because it's Hasbro's fault. This is going to be a very, very interesting case. This is I don't know what else to say. That he lobbied so hard last year against the barge, and now he has it in the middle of his collection, and now he's whipped up this story, Brent, and it'll be really interesting. He's clearly a hypocrite. He really is. Very odd, very fascinating. I'd like to see how this is going to turn out. I don't think the barge is gonna go to Australia. I 100% believe it's going to get displayed in his collection. Absolutely, and he's going to make up some other story about the shipping's too expensive, and Brent decided to let me have it, or whatnot. I don't know, Brent. What do you think?
No, seriously, I'm actually fine with it. Michael can review it and stuff.
There you have it. And I'm done.